Follow the money.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Pauly Howard on VSiN.
Welcome in, Follow the Money. Show presented by DraftKings. Pauly Howard, Matt Youmans, Mitch on vacation. Big day tomorrow. Our NFL betting guide drops. Packed with everything you need. In-depth profiles of every team, advanced stats, proven betting systems, win totals, props, MVP, Coach of the Year. Can't wait. And whether you're a seasoned bet or just getting started, our NFL betting guide will help you out and help you win. We're going all out with special coverage throughout the day. Tune in all day tomorrow. VSiN NFL betting guide. VSiN.com/subscribe to sign up today. Got to be a subscriber to get it the only way. VSiN.com/subscribe. Indy Jeff Sealey joins us now on the Progressive Guest Line. Cutmaker Podcast, Twitter handle at CutmakerJeff. You can check it out and follow him as well. And we're talking about the Rocket Mortgage Classic coming up. Gets underway tomorrow. Appreciate the time, my friend. Hey, people have a chance now. Scheffler's taking some time off.
Yeah, and honestly, guys, I expect this week to be pretty wide open. I mean, this is going to be a birdie contest, plain and simple, and I think it's going to be a shootout. So no Scotty. I think it brings a lot of people into play, and you can see a potential bomb win this week.
All right, that would be fantastic. How the year started with a lot of long shots. What are we looking at here? Tell us about the course, and are we going to see like maybe 24 under win it?
Yeah, so guys, it's par 72, 73, 7,350 yards. So honestly, not a super long course. Donald Ross design, and one that they've just torched the last couple of years, right? It's been minus 20 or better has won the last couple of years. So I expect some more than that. And at the top of the board, I'm fading a few guys. You look at Tom Kim is up top there, and we all know what Tom Kim did last week. Obviously had a great run, lost in the playoff to Scotty, but this is the 8th straight week for Tom Kim playing. I think eventually that's going to catch up to him, even though he just turned 22. Between that and the playoff loss, I think that's going to be a lot for Tom Kim. So I'm fading him this week and moving a little further down the board. All
right, so you want to continue, though, with Cam Young. What a weekend this guy had. Shooting the 59 and then playing what he did Sunday as well. But you think this continues with Cam Young?
Yeah, honestly, guys, after finishing top 10 last week, second here in 2022, I think it's easy to make a case for Cam Young. I'm actually not going to play him out early on outright anyway, at least because I think it's one of these scenarios where his price is fair, certainly relative to the field. But again, I mentioned I think this is really wide open. So I'm gonna wait a little bit, and there's some guys again a little bit further down the board that I bet and honestly nothing else is other than the fact that when I looked at Cam Young and models, I mean he came on 15th and 50th for me in the two models I ran. So I was like, I think there's a case for him, but there's some other guys that I think I can get a little more value on.
All right, let's start there. And you got a good number at DraftKings on one golfer who was 45-1. He's come down the board. How you starting your card off?
Yeah, guys, I started my card with Taylor Pendrith, who's now 25-1. As you mentioned, I got him early at 45 on DraftKings, so the market obviously agreed with me there. But for whatever reason, guys, players who have played well at the Byron Nelson seem to have had success here as well. And Taylor Pendrith won this year's Byron Nelson, finished 14th here last year, and runner-up in 2022. In his last 7 events, Pendrith has a win and 4 more finishes inside the top 25. So his current form is really good. I like Pendrith top 20, and I think it's plus 115, including ties on DraftKings. And I actually played him in a matchup. I like Steven Yeager this week, but I like Pendrith even better. So I played him in a matchup over Yeager.
Yeah, you got the best number there, 45-1 down to 25-1, and I agree with you. I think there's a good chance you're going to see a bomb hit this week, but some of these players at the top of the board are going to be attractive to bettors. Jeff, Cam Young is a player I bet so many times. I've kind of given up on him a little bit this year. Have not played him much at all. Does he reel you back in with what he did last week? And how about Maverick McNeely? Because McNeely's a guy, Jeff Sherman at the Westgate Superbook, I think told me 2.5 years ago or so, Maverick McNeely's going to win. Bet this guy till he wins. He still has not won. He's been close a couple times. I think this is a type of course. And Maverick McNeely's got one positive finish here in the past in the Rocket Mortgage in Detroit. He's also rested. A lot of things point to maybe this is the week for Maverick. Can we take a shot on him at 28-1?
Yeah, and honestly, Matt, he graded out number one overall between my combined models, even over Tom Kim. Comes in with 3 straight top 25 finishes, including 23rd at the PGA and a top 10 in Canada a few weeks ago. You mentioned he's rested. His putter can get hot like it did in Canada, where he gained 4 strokes putting. He's 7th in the field in birdies per round. You're going to have to make birdies this week. And he's 10th in the field in strokes gained off the tee. So I do like him 28-1. I like him top 20 for sure, plus 125. And you mentioned the history here, Matt. He finished 8th here in 2020, and he finished 21st here in 2021. 41st is Byron Nelson this year, which wasn't great, but he was there. So, I like McNeely, and I think he's somebody I'm going to look a little more at some matchups, too, if I can find him some matchups. I do like McNeely this week.
Jeff, how often have you been betting Cameron Young or Maverick McNeely to win? And do you play those guys more top 10, top 20 than you do on the futures board to win?
Certainly McNeely more top 10, top 20. Cameron Young, I used to play Cameron Young all the time when Paul Tesori was his caddy. And the truth of it is, though, guys, in a week where you're going to have to make putts, his putter can get streaky, and when it works, it's incredible. But like you look at this, U.S. Open, he lost 6 strokes putting. At the Memorial, he lost 4 strokes putting. His putter is all over the place, and frankly, his irons have been kind of all over the place, hot and cold the last few weeks. You know he's going to gain off the tee, but when everything else is that kind of hot and cold, when the putting and the irons, it makes it tough to trust Cam Young at a low price.
Follow the money, Pauly and Matt Youmans, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Jeff Sealey talking golf on the Progressive Guest Line. Get the Cutmaker podcast. Follow him on X as well. You put me on this guy in the U.S. Open. I need to send this guy an invoice. I mean, Aaron Rai went into my pocket. I had him top Brit 14-1, top 10 12-1, and he imploded on the back 9 with 3 bogeys. So you're looking to come back here with Aaron Rai. How do you feel about his game?
Yeah, again, 30-1. I've been playing him a lot. 19th at the U.S. Open, 14th in Canada, and 4th at Byron Nelson. Add that to a 9th place finish here last year. It's really easy to make a case for Aaron Rai. 11th off the tee, 3rd on approach, and 8th from over 200 yards, 20th in putting from 10 to 15 feet. There's just a whole lot to like about Aaron Rai. And you're right. You're right, Paul. I mean, he certainly has let us down at times this year, but the talent is there, and he's consistently inside that top 20 to 30 range. I played him in a matchup against Davis Thompson on DraftKings this week, and I played him top 20 plus 130. I mean, I'm going to bet a little bit on the outright on Rai because I think eventually he'll win on tour.
How about mid-tier, also same price in that range, Zalatoris, 35-1?
Yeah, and Zalatoris, my favorite way to play him is first-round leader at 55-1. His putting has been so bad lately. He's 123rd in the field in putting. He's lost strokes putting in 9 out of his last 10 events. But he's the guy, if everybody's playing at their max, is the best player in this field. So this is really a bet on talent, and that a bet that he can putt well for one round. So I think if you're going to look at Zalatoris, I can make a case at 35-1, but I think the best way to play him is to win a round. It could be first round, it could be any round, but 55-1 I think is a good price, first round leader on Will Zalatoris.
All right, let's get nuts. Let's go 2 bombs here, both over 100-1.
Yeah, so S.H. Kim gained with the putter 3 weeks in a row, and his putter got really hot at the Byron Nelson, where he finished T4, thanks to gaining almost 7 strokes putting. He's capable of gaining off the tee. His issue is he's not a great iron player, but if he can gain off the tee, be neutral with the irons, and his putter gets hot, he can make a run. He's plus 360, top 20, including ties. And also, guys, you can find him on DraftKings, top Korean plus 360 as well. But really, he has to beat Tom Kim and K.H. Lee. Again, I think another good price on a guy who has performed well here and who can get hot. And then Justin Lauer, 120-1, has gained on approach in 9 straight events and gained in putting in 6 out of his last 9. Gained off the Team Canada, so if he can put it all together, could very easily make a run. Was 24th at the Byron Nelson this year, finished 8th at this event last year, 30th in 2022. Again, another guy I think is worth a bomb bet, plus 360, top 20. I like Lauer as well.
Indy, Jeff Sealey. Hey, Jeff, off script here. You're right in the middle of the Caitlin Clark hype. Are you caught up in it, or are you sick of hearing about her at this point?
At first I was sort of over it, and then I found myself with fewer and fewer things on TV anymore, betting the Fever and watching the games. I watched their game against Chicago, and I had the Fever money line, which was very disappointing.
Take the points.
Blew a huge lead. That was not fun. But honestly, I mean, I've frankly been watching more and more of their games just because they are improving a little bit. They're getting better along the way. Obviously, they had Boston, who was the first round pick 2 years ago as well. So they have some talent. I think they'll continue to improve. But yeah, I've been watching her, and I'll continue to watch throughout the rest of the summer.
All right, my friend. Good luck, and I hope you cash your ticket. And I can't wait for the British Open, too, in a couple weeks. Thanks, Jeff.
It's going to be great. Thanks, fellas.
All right, there you go. Jeff Sealey.
British Open is July 20th weekend, the same weekend at the Del Mar racetrack opens, and Paul Howard plans to be there.
Yep.
You going to stay at Christmas Arrow's palatial estate?
Yeah, I think that's the plan.
That's the plan, or are you going to actually do it?
Yeah.
The plan?
Well, I'll be there. I don't know where I'm staying. I'll see if I want to bring Sean or what. I guess that'd be
take your girlfriend?
That'd be bringing Sand to the beach, as I understand it.
Take your girlfriend and stay at Chris's house?
No, then I would not do that. But that's I'm looking forward to it. I know it's an embarrassment.
You've never been there.
Absolutely. Yeah. I know. That's a wild weekend. Can't wait. We stumbled upon this yesterday with a great reaction and response. Worst NFL coaches all time. Next on VSiN.
All right, the NFL betting guide comes out Thursday. Never been a better time to become a VSiN Pro subscriber. By the way, this NFL betting guide is going to be the most valuable football preview magazine you're going to find. It's all written from a betting perspective, full of best bets. For a limited time, get an annual subscription to VSiN Pro at an unbeatable price. Now it's just $199 with promo code FTM, plus you get an extra month for free. 13 months of VSiN Pro access.
Yeah.
Everything we do, 24/7 video. VSiN.com, you get the first access to everything we put out, including the NFL betting guide tomorrow. VSiN.com/subscribe.
All right. The real deal. Tony Rizzo up next to preview the Browns.
Browns have had some bad coaches.
Yes, right. And he's been through the wars, and he has the scars to prove it with Hugh Jackson and Freddie Kitchens and the Factory of Sadness. And yesterday we previewed the Chargers, and I thought Staley's one of the worst coaches in NFL history.
And he made some of the worst decisions in NFL history, but his record's not going to put him in the category with the worst coaches. Right?
Well, that's like Rich Kotite, though. I mean,
Rich Kotite was 4-28 as Jets coach.
Yeah, but he was good with the Eagles. So I also Staley had a lot of talent.
Hugh Jackson had a decent record with the Raiders.
Yes, he did.
Yeah,
I know.
Okay.
And he blew a division. I remember that game against the Lions. With 5 minutes left, they scored a touchdown to go up 12. He kicked the extra point. They lost by 1, and they blew the division.
Right.
What happened? We got into that discussion, and it was a good response on X, ftm@vsin.com, by the way. You can email, get in touch with the show, ftm@vsin.com, or tweet at us. In this, I mentioned, because I was a Minnesota fan, Les Steckel in the early 80s, how bad he was. He was 1 and done, 3-13. But you have compiled a list here of what you think are the worst coaches in NFL history. It's a good list. There's guys on there I forgot about. There's some oldies but goodies. There's some favorites and some obvious ones. And it's a good list. And this is also fun to go through. And this also came up, too, about how bad McDaniels was with the Raiders, about in-game decisions and blowing halftime leads and blowing fourth-quarter leads left and right.
Wow.
And a lot of that is strategy, in-game management, in-game decisions, and a lot of that comes back and how bad McDaniels was, too. But a lot of this, you got a lot of good names here.
Yeah, also got to give some credit to a friend of ours, a fan of your show, Patrick O., who sent in a couple of submissions, some ideas for this list as well. Hugh Jackson, based on record, his run with the Browns had to be the worst there is. 3-36-1.
Yeah, that's
You're not going to find much worse.
Yeah.
Now, there's some guys on this list, and one that I thought of right away that never comes up in the worst coaches discussion is Cam Cameron, who coached the Miami Dolphins in 2007 and was a play away from going 0-16, and he went 1-15. Another coach.
I forgot about that one. Yes, that was ugly. 1-15, one and done. Good job.
Rod Rust of the New England Patriots in 1990. The Pats They won their Week 2 game. They were 1-1. They lost the next 14. They went 1-15, and they had a minus 265 point differential, the third worst in NFL history.
Really?
Yeah.
I believe, and you can help us out, Nesson. I believe that was the worst offense in NFL history. I think they scored the fewest points in a season, and they had the second worst defense that year too. So that's a good one with Rust. Excellent.
So keeping on the East Coast, Rich Kotite, who was successful with the Eagles, somewhat successful,
36-28,
gets hired by the Jets, and he goes 4-28. How about Mike Shula, son of Don Shula? Gets a job with the Cincinnati Bengals from 92 to 96. He goes 19-52. He was in over his head.
That was his record?
Unqualified for the job. 19-52.
Oh, wow.
Why did he
get so many
Everyone
years?
remembers Marty Morningweg, right?
Yeah, he screwed up the overtime decision. He gave the Bears the ball.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
5-27, his record with the Lions.
Wow.
I threw Dave Campo of the Cowboys on the list. Campo went 5-11, 3 straight years as Cowboys. Jerry Jones hangs on to coaches too long. I really think this year, after the playoff debacle against the Packers, he should have fired McCarthy and hired Bill Belichick.
100%.
How big a coaching upgrade would that have been for Dallas?
Please.
To dump Big Mike and bring in Belichick. So a couple, Urban Meyer. Do we have to put Urban Meyer on the list? 2-11 with a minus 160 point differential in his brief abbreviated season with the Jaguars?
Has to be. A lot of this is how do you handle these? How do you handle the team and how do you treat people? And that was a big part of it. They hated him, no doubt. That's fair. You brought up Morningweg. Can I also throw in Rod Marinelli?
Sure.
Who went 3-13, 7-9, and then went 0-16.
Yep.
Didn't win a game with the Lions, and he was let go as well. So yeah, Urban Meyer's
better suited as a defensive coordinator than he was a head coach. There've been a lot of guys like that, right?
Yeah.
How about Nathaniel Hackett? Should we put him on the list of worst NFL coaches?
Has to be, right? Has to be. And the only reason he's employed is because he's friends with Rodgers, and Rodgers goes to bat for him. Look at his resume and his track record as an offensive coordinator. But then, I mean, it was so bad in Denver, he had to be one and done. I mean, they couldn't even get the plays in on time, what he was doing, and you got the fans counting down the play clock with what he was just totally in over his head.
His first game as coach, he settled for a 64-yard field goal attempt, right? It was all downhill from there.
That's true. That's fair to have him on that list. Yeah.
Should we put Bobby Petrino on the list?
Yes, I had him written down. Yes.
Okay.
He went 3-10. The players hated him. He quit and put a note on their lockers.
Right.
Sorry, guys, I'm taking the Arkansas job. I'm out. I mean, how bad was that?
That's bad.
And also not a people person what happened, and I think my best Halloween costume ever. It's on my Instagram at Pauly Does Vegas. Going up as Petrino, though, with what happened with the motorcycle accident and the guma on the bike.
By the way, that was not a motorcycle accident.
Oh, okay. Well, we get.
You know that, right?
Family show. The
people know the story about Bobby Petrino by now, right? And it's not a motorcycle accident.
With the neck brace?
Yeah.
I don't know where you're going.
You don't know the real story?
His whole face was beat up.
Yeah, he got beat up.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Well, I thought there was a bike on the road. We faked the whole thing?
By the boyfriend? You don't know that story?
No. The boyfriend found out. No.
Yeah.
I thought it was a motorcycle accident.
That was not a motorcycle.
Because he showed up with the neck brace and his face was all.
No.
Okay.
No.
I thought he told the cops
there was the crap beat out of him.
Okay.
By somebody's boyfriend.
Because he told the cops. Remember when the cops came over? He told them what happened, and the what's the word I'm looking for? The
Alibi?
People who were there,
witnesses.
The witnesses said there was a woman there though, and that's why there was a woman who was on the back of the bike,
and
maybe he wanted to keep that under wraps because
maybe
he's
her boyfriend was the one who beat the crap out of him.
Okay, very good, excellent. But certainly he has to be on the list as well. Do you have?
I think two of the clumsiest guys I've ever heard as head coaches in the NFL who were way in over their heads. would be Freddie Kitchens of the Browns and Jim Tom Sula of the 49ers.
I don't recall Tom Sula. You brought him up yesterday.
I call him the janitor.
Yeah.
My nickname for him is the janitor because that's the job he was qualified for with the 49ers. He should have been a janitor at the team headquarters.
All right, he's had success other places, but it was certainly bad, and that's when the 49ers were going through an ugly stretch there, and Chip Kelly was also one and done. I think he won 2 games. But certainly Shanahan's been great in what Harbaugh was able to do. McDaniels has got to be on that list. I mean, he was so bad with the Raiders, Kitchens, Tom Sula.
Was Josh McDaniels worse with the Raiders than he was with the Broncos?
Another good
with the
one.
Broncos, he started out 5-0 or 6-0, I think.
And
then everything went south.
Yeah. But a disaster with Denver, and certainly I just saw he sold his house here and took a loss on it. With
it's
how
hard
that
to
trade.
do that in this market.
Yeah. Right. So Hugh Jackson, 336-1. Freddie, Rod Rust is a good one. I mean, you can't. That's to win one game, and then you have the worst offense all time and second worst defense. And I forgot about Cam Cameron, 1-15. Who was the guy? Chud? Didn't Chud go 1-15? Chudzinski? What was his name?
Oh, yeah.
The Browns. He went 1-15. The Browns again.
That's a good question for our next guest. By the way, the Chargers have had a lot of bad coaches we didn't even talk about on this list.
Anthony Lynn, Staley. Who else are we missing?
Oh, you have to go way back. Chargers had some Tommy Prothro. They had some really poor coaches in the past. Yeah.
Good list.
Had one of my favorites too, Don Coryell. But
sure, yeah. But it goes back to what we said earlier.
So who's the worst? Who is the worst? I guess let's get some audience response on this.
Yeah, well, it also depends your criteria. Like, do you have to have a talented team and you continue to underperform and you can't get out? Staley to win 5 games last year was an embarrassment. Total debacle. And they quit on him and what happened out here. But it goes back to also, what are you doing and what are you thinking with common sense? You're in the playoffs with a tie in the Sunday night game. You blow that. You're playing starters in a meaningless game. You lose Williams. You keep them in, Allen and Herbert. Blowing a 27-0 second-half playoff game and refusing to run the ball. You're horrible defensively. You're going for it on your own 20 in key games, and that continues to blow up in your face. Same cliches and stuff with the media after the game as well. So FTM@vsin.com. Tweet at us as well. Worst coaches in NFL history, and we'll get his thoughts coming up because he's there. And he lived through Hugh Jackson. Tony Rizzo up next, Browns preview. Von Tobel on the NBA draft, Tyler Shoemaker, WNBA. You got to read Wes Reynolds' preview on the Rocket Mortgage Tournament starting tomorrow. Bookmark it, check it out every day, vsin.com. Brett Musburger on the NFL. Best bets, betting splits, betting guides, and betting tools. Check it out, vsin.com. It's our friend, Tony Rizzo, ESPN Cleveland at The Real T Rizzo on X. He's the star of the movie Draft Day, and he's covered the Browns since 1986. And he joins us now on the Progressive Guest Line. Great to talk to you, friend. And you're coming to town to do Circa Millions. How are you?
Yeah, Pauly, good. We're going to get in this year. I'm going to do a bit for my show, my radio show, where we're going to buy an entry, and I just think that's the most fun contest in the world. I really do. My kids did it last year. They lasted until week 11 when Tyler Boyd dropped a pass off his hands for the Bengals, and they lost. So it's a lot of fun. And, yes, we're coming. The Raiders and Brownies are playing this year in week 4.
That's right. And that can't wait for that game as well. So a couple thoughts on the team this year and attack it from a betting standpoint. Great season last year. You have the turnaround. You have the comeback player of the year, the coach of the year. You make the playoffs and you fall short against Houston. Win total 8.5, plus 150 to make the playoffs. What do you think of this year's team?
I am stumped by 8.5 for a team that won 11 with 5 quarterbacks. Last year. I just wonder why it's so low, but all you got to do, guys, is look at the schedule. The schedule's brutal. The Browns they open up with the Cowboys, they play the Eagles, they got their division opponents twice, so it's a much more difficult schedule for them. Everything is going to depend on Watson. They changed OCs. They went with Dorsey, who got fired in Buffalo last year. He's, I believe, going to call plays. First time. Stefanski's been here 4 years, first time. He turned over the offense. They're trying to open it up. They're going to go a lot of shotgun. They're going to go a lot of empty. And they're going to let Deshaun Watson do what they think he does best, which is, run around the field. And I'm worried about him getting hurt again. But everything comes down to Watson this year. Everything. They didn't even bring Flacco back.
Why?
They didn't bring because they felt like the fans liked him better than Watson.
Oh, God.
And they didn't want the distraction. They didn't want Deshaun looking over his shoulder. And that shocked a lot of people. Now, they brought in Jameis. He can win you a game, Winston here or there. Mm-hmm. But everything comes down to Watson. Supposedly he's healthy. He did throw the ball pretty well in the off-season stuff. He followed the plan. He had shoulder surgery, glenoid bone or something. But he looked fine. And this is all about him. Listen, guys, third year of the Watson deal, he's 7-4. I mean, in 2 years, 7-4. This is a major risk contract the Browns took on, and so far it hadn't paid off. But the word is in Berea that they think this is going to be his year this year. We'll see.
It better be his year. If it's not this year, when's it going to be? The Deshaun Watson trade and contract have been a complete disaster up to this point, Tony. Do you think it's mental with Watson because he's gone through so much turmoil off the field because he just doesn't look like the same player?
Yeah, I do, Matt, and that's a great point because you got to be right between the ears in order to play in that league. Everybody knows it, especially at the quarterback position. He was suspended 2 years ago, went through all that crap with the legal stuff. Then last year, he came back and beat the Ravens in Baltimore on the road with 2 fourth-quarter touchdowns, and then he got hurt. So that's another reason they didn't bring Flacco back. They're trying to get him mentally prepared. And no, guys, he's not looked anything like the guy that led the league in passing yards back in Houston 4 or 5 years ago. But the Browns are hoping this is going to be his year. They've got pieces, parts around him. They added Jerry Jeudy. They gave him a big contract. I hope he can, I don't think he's had 1,000 yards in 4 years at Denver. But Cooper will get done. He held out. He's looking for more money, but he'll get that done. And Njoku's a nice option. They're going to miss Nick Chubb, but we don't see him running the ball like the guys. I would look for the overs with the Browns and point totals over with the Browns because they're going to let it fly this year. The Nick Chubb won't be back probably till October. I mean, for those people out there that think he's coming back week 1, that's not going to happen. He had 2 knee surgeries this offseason. So I'd be looking at the over 8.5. I'd go over. I think the Browns can win 9 games. I mean,
yeah,
they're a better run organization, guys, than they've been in a long, long time. Barry, the GM, and Stefanski, the coach, got extensions this offseason. They're the first ones to get them under the Haslam. So there's some stability here, and the defense is good.
Okay, well, I have to ask you about that, though. You were You're the 86 Bears at home. You're awful on the road. Why why the difference? Why was this defense so bad in road games?
Well, Jim Schwartz played it off because that was the first question he was asked in the offseason. He's only met with the media once. But we had Denzel Ward on our show last week. He came and sat in with us, and he said there isn't a meeting that goes by or a day that goes by where the defense doesn't talk about 2 things. Number 1, not playing well on the road, and number 2, red zone. Believe it or not, the Browns were 32nd in the red zone last year, which didn't help them. Now, I know they didn't give up a lot of yards and they didn't give up a lot of points, but those are 2 things that they got to fix. They believe year 2 under Schwartz that they will be able to do that. But, guys, that is the elephant in the room for that Browns defense, and especially the way they played in that playoff game in Houston. God, I was there, and that was a nightmare.
Tony Rizzo with us. All right, so, Paul, yesterday we broke down the Chargers. You looked at the Chargers' schedule. And it looks like Jim Harbaugh wrote it in pen, right? Harbaugh scripted his schedule because the Chargers have a really soft schedule. The Browns, the opposite. I think the Browns got a really tough schedule, Tony, and that's what we were talking about, the win total of 8.5. Now, this time a year ago at VSiN, when we put out our preseason magazine, the Cincinnati Bengals were the most popular pick out of the AFC to make the Super Bowl. Not a lot of buzz about the Bengals right now. I think a lot of questions about Joe Burrow. Can he stay healthy? Can we talk about that other team in your state right now? What do you expect from the Bengals? Could this be the year where they fly a little bit under the radar but actually get back to the Super Bowl or not.
Yeah, it's funny. We were looking at week 1 for the Circa contest. They're the biggest favorite on the board. But, guys, they start slow. And the other thing about the Bengals is look at their record against the Browns. The Browns have had their number. They've had Joe Burrow's number. I think the big question with Cincinnati is Burrow's wrist. We keep hearing that the injury, although he is throwing, is something that could haunt him for a while, hurt him for a while. In other words, it's not going to completely heal even for this year. And it's same thing with them as it is with the Browns. They got to keep their quarterback upright. But I like what they've done. They swapped out running backs, and they're always dangerous. You know, Jamar Chase, and those guys are offensively, they're one of the best teams. I think they added, was it Gesicki, one of the tight ends. They did a nice job. And, I mean, they're going to be a contender, but the division is so brutal. Baltimore's good. Yeah. Pittsburgh. I mean, what is Pittsburgh going to be with Russ Wilson? That's the big question. Then they went and got Fields. I'm telling you guys, I would expect to see Justin Fields on the field, even if he's not the starting quarterback. So the division's tough, a little bit under the radar for the Bengals, but they'll go as far as Joe Burrow takes.
So you've covered the team since '86. Before you came on, we were talking worst coaches in NFL history. Is it Hugh Jackson for you? Give me your list.
Man, I feel bad because he was a good dude. He did not have – his roster was terrible. At one point, guys, the Browns had a quarterback room where not one of the 3 guys had won a game in the NFL. That's a true story. I don't know if I've ever seen that before. Deshaun Kaiser, it was – I'm telling you, it was insane. Hugh went 1-31. Freddie Kitchens didn't have that bad of a record, but he was a hot mess here for a while. Poor Rob Chudzinski, he was another one that went, I think it went 3-13 and had 1 year here. But, I mean, worst of all time, I love the Marty Morningweg story. And I'm sorry, Marty. I'm sure you're a good man, and I don't know where you are right now. Coaching the Lions.
Yep.
Okay, the game goes to overtime. He wins the toss and takes the win.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And gives the Bears the ball. They go down and score. The Lions never touched it. And I think, was that his last game? I don't know if it was his last game, but it was close to his last game. Urban Meyer in Jacksonville. Oh, my. That was. Wow. Guys, that was, Dave Campo in Dallas. You remember him?
Oh, Youmans just said it. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And David Shula in Cincinnati, he coached 71 games and won 19.
Yeah, 19 and 52.
Great call. Another Youmans
David Shula, not Mike Shula. Yeah, David Shula.
David Shula. Okay. Excellent. Good list. All right. Get in the contest.
When do the fast food rankings come out,
Yeah,
Patty?
no kidding. Yeah.
After I get done working on the college football guide, Tony, so that's going to be probably late July, early August. How about that? Right around the Hall of Fame game.
Okay, we're trying to get Portillo's here. We got Culver's, which I liked a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they have a good burger, Culver's, really.
The Butter Burger.
Great job, sir. We'll see you soon. Can't wait. Get in the contest.
Fellas, thank you. Always a pleasure.
The real Tony Rizzo, star of the movie Draft Day. Worst coaches in NFL history, and Real or Fugazi next. Michael Lombardi coming up. Some of his surprises and disappointments the upcoming season. Our NFL betting guide drops tomorrow. Packed with everything you need to dominate this NFL season. In-depth profiles of every team. Youmans did the AFC West. Great case yesterday for the Chargers win total over. Everyone has a pick, an opinion. Props, win totals, everything you want. And to celebrate the release tomorrow, we go all out with special coverage throughout the day. Femi's in studio. Cast of thousands. Tune in all day tomorrow. Expert analysis, insider tips, and all the NFL insight you need to start the season strong. The only way to get it, be a VSiN Pro subscriber. VSiN.com/subscribe. Sign up today. VSiN.com/subscribe.
You knew this was going to happen. We've got incredible response from the worst NFL coaches segment.
Yep. Pete at Bruins 309 says Lou Holtz, 1976 Jets disaster. Like Petrino. Had never seen an NFL game before. Decided running an option was a good idea.
Holtz was a complete disaster as an NFL coach, but he was not a bad coach. Obviously, Holtz knew what he was doing, was highly successful in college. Yep. Kind of like Urban Meyer's situation, right? He went to the NFL, was totally out of his league.
Can happen, right?
I almost
we
put
mentioned
Lou Holtz on the list.
Okay.
Almost put him on the list, but I didn't think he deserved to be put down there with the worst of the worst. The Hugh Jacksons.
Yeah, Chud went 4-12, by the way. One and done with the Browns. I thought he went 1-15. Chazinski went 4-12, so another disaster for the Brownies. Hagen says Steve Wilkes, Arizona 2018. Mike Singletary, 08-10. That was bad. That was the epic rant on Vernon Davis. I want winners.
I want winners.
Yeah. Vance Joseph.
Vic Fangio, those guys were terrible head coaches.
Dick McPherson with the Patriots, James says.
Bosch in Chicago had Mark Trestman, absolute train wreck with the Bears, and I would have to agree with that. How about our buddy Lou Finicaro checks in, going way back to the late 60s, Abe Gibran of the Bears. You don't recall that, do you?
No. Scott about Joe Judge. Yes. Remember the quarterback sneak twice inside their own 5? Joe Judge was terrible. They had no idea what they were doing. That's a good one. We're getting old. We forget stuff. It happens. So that's great. Thanks, Scott. But that's we love to hear from you. Worst coaches in NFL history.
Yes, David Shula with the Bengals, not Mike, and Hank Bulla of the Buffalo Bills. 4-17 was his record. That's from Tom Collins.
I just remember as a kid, Les Steckel from the 84 or whatever it was, 85, because he came in and you knew it was going to go off the rails right away because he was treating them as like a drill sergeant. He was running like a boot camp, and the players rebelled right away, and they went 3-13, I believe, 2-14, and bam, Bud Grant comes back in, and it's like, what are you seeing in the unless he completely lied and went rogue, but what do you see in the interview process with some of these guys, right? Even though you have a lot of money, you can still get fooled. And just because you're rich doesn't mean you're smart. I mean, certainly what Petrino did with the blank in Atlanta, where it comes out 3-10, and Blank said how many times he lied to him and looked at him. You want to be my coach? Yes. Well, I'm thinking it's like Schwarzenegger. How dare you? I love A&M. Out the door the next day. Saban, I guess I have to say it. I'm not taking the Alabama job. Gone. So 2 days later. So it's wild, though, when you just see some of these records and what's transpired in this league and how people get fooled and GMs, owners, whatever. Good one with Cam Cameron. 1-15, one and done. I forgot about that.
It's one of the worst single seasons in the history of the NFL because I think the one win was in overtime. He's one play away from going 0-16. Cam Cameron. That's one that a lot of people forget.
Yeah, and I put Marinelli on there as well.
Yeah.
Who went. It's kind of like Hugh Jackson. Marinelli went 3-13, then won 6 games, and then went 0-16. Yikes. All right.
Marty Morningweg.
Yeah.
That one's going down in history. Yeah.
That's a good one. Time for Real or Fugazi.
Mitch Moss and Pauly Howard are here to make you a friend of ours.
That would mean you were made guy.
Investigating what is and isn't legit.
Because that's a fugazi. All right? That's a fugazi. I looked at it for 2 seconds.
Seeing through the lines to make you a better.
I know you know. And I know you know I know you know.
The FTM Army is being sent for.
In our thing, you get sent for, you go in alive, you come out dead. And it's your best friend that does.
These two wise guys would never steer you wrong.
Forget about it.
This is Real or Fugazi on Follow the Money.
Matt, let's be real. This is, and it's tonight, and I know you're excited. Let's be real. This is the worst NBA draft of our lifetime. Real or Fugazi?
I'm going to say Fugazi. We don't know that yet because you have to give these prospects who were drafted tonight some years to prove whether they're bust or they're going to make it. And there's no way you can determine that tonight. Now, the hype for this draft is probably at an all-time low.
Yeah.
If you want to talk about media hype and build up to a draft, I'm not sure I've ever... The average basketball fan's probably never been less excited for a draft.
And you might be the only person watching the second round.
I'm excited about it. I'm going to watch it all.
So
I'll watch the entire draft, first and second round, and have some bets on this draft. But I still... there have been drafts in the past that have been so bad that it's going to be hard for this to be the worst draft ever.
Okay. We've talked about
2013. The top 10 picks of the 2013 draft were a complete disaster. The top 5, Anthony Bennett, Victor Oladipo, Otto Porter, Cody Zeller, and Alex Lynn. There really was not a good player drafted until number 12. And that was the Greek Freak draft. He went number 15. The Freak went number 15 to the Bucks. I was actually at this draft in Brooklyn because Anthony Bennett of UNLV ended up going number 1, which is a shock to a lot of people. Even Bennett's agent had no idea he was going number 1 an hour before the draft.
Come on.
No.
Really?
I talked to him right before the draft started. I said, where is Anthony going to go? He said, I don't really know. He could go second or third. He could slip out of the top 10. And he went number 1 to the Cavs. And obviously turned out to be a bad decision for the Cavs. That 2013 draft might have been the worst ever, but the Greek Freak props it up a little bit by being the 15th pick. And how bad do you have to be as an NBA scout to bypass the Freak and let him slip all the way to 15? What are these guys watching?
Yeah. He was skinny back then, but I understand. I know.
Look at his body type and his skill set. How do you let a guy like that in a draft with so many duds in the top 10 slip to number 15?
I changed my mind on this. You changed your mind on this based on a Fran Fraschilla tweet. But, they're going to tinker with this. We all agree we love it. Don't change it. Don't tinker with it. Everyone loves March Madness. But going to 72 teams is okay and not the end of the world for the NC2A tournament, adding a couple more play-in games. Real or Fugazi?
Real. It's not the end of the world.
You're okay with 72?
Yeah, I am.
The Fraschilla tweet and how you would do it, and you're just playing a couple.
Hey, for the longest time, I was against NCAA tournament expansion, but it's inevitable, so it is going to happen.
That's Fran's
Accept
point
it.
too,
Let's just get the best proposal out there, and Fran Fraschilla put out a great proposal where you expand the first 4 to basically like a first 8 or first 16 situation where you have more meaningful NCAA tournament games. Better for everybody. Bettors, bookmakers, just fans in general, the teams. Now, you don't want to water it down and let too many teams into the tournament, but I think if you expand from 68 to 72, that's not that big a deal.
Okay.
Or if you go to 80, even if you go to 80, I'm not going to say it's the end of the world, but that's the most. To me, that's the ceiling. You can't go higher than 80. But, Paul, you're talking about college basketball's got 350 teams.
No, that's true.
All right, 350 teams.
Now look at how many were right in 1985, 86.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
In the WNBA, 8 of the 12 teams make the playoffs.
We keep adding D1 teams.
And you keep adding teams, playoff teams in every other sport. To go to 80 in college basketball, I don't think would be the end of the world.
Okay, one more, 90 seconds. Changes to college football are all not positive. Real or Fugazi?
Real.
I got the Phil Steele
I hate
magazine.
the bigger conference.
16, 17 teams in a conference.
I grew up with the Big Ten when it was 10.
Yeah. We had 18 now?
It's 18.
18 teams in a conference.
And it's probably not far away from being 20.
Yeah.
And that's not good for college football to have UCLA and USC in the same conference with Rutgers and Maryland. What's good about that?
Right. Cal and Stanford, ACC. Right. I'm looking at the magazine.
I do like the expanded playoffs, but it took way too long to get to this point in college football anyway. This should have happened 20 years ago.
Yeah, and then we're stuck with the Pac-2.
Two-pack. I call it the two-pack.
I know. I'm reading Phil Steele, and I see the Mountain West at the bottom. He's got the two-pack.
The two-pack
He's
conference.
got the Pac-2 teams. Oh, man. Okay. There you go.
You get a trophy if you win the Washington State-Oregon State game as two-pack conference champion?
Well, I like that they're still playing their rivals. They continued the Apple Cup in Oregon State. NBA draft up next. Updated odds movement. Who's going 1, 2, and 3. And a big trade last night in the association coming up next. Pauly Howard, Matt Youmans, VSiN. Follow the money. The Sports Betting Network.